So this past Friday in Cape Town, Bangladeshi businessman Akhtar Pradhan was kidnapped in Mitchell's Plain. Just a few weeks ago, a little boy, Shanawaz Ashkar, just 6 years old, was kidnapped from his home in Kensington, also in Cape Town. Now, thankfully, he was safely returned to his family just a few days later. Well, I'm joined now by a security expert at BizTrace's Calvin Rafadi. Calvin, thanks so much for joining us. Do you have the latest on Akhtar Pradhan? Any update on news of a ransom? Any possible motive?
Thank you, Sally. At the moment, there is no any indication of ransom that is demanded by this particular syndicate that has kidnapped the gentleman in from Cape Town. But also, it's this type of kidnappings, they're mushrooming everywhere, especially where you get Bangladeshis and some of the other foreign nationals who are in possession of asylum and are shop owners. So in this space, most of these kidnappings, what really happens is some of these kidnappers, they kidnap one another in terms of business deals or exchanging of shops or fighting for territories or within their trade of industry or their place where they open the shops.
I mean, that's fascinating information because the 6-year-old boy, he was of Pakistani origin, wasn't he? Are you suggesting that it's often an inside job, whether it's sort of for businesses to sort of gain one up on each other? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. In most incidents, you get your big syndicates whereby in the kidnappings, they'll demand higher ransom but because most of them, they are inside jobs. They have to know, this particular syndicates, that how much, if they kidnap someone, how much are they capable of paying? So, but in many incidents where we see most of this new mushrooming kidnappings, in where you get the Pakistanis, your Somalians, your Bangladesh, most of them, they are inside jobs whereby now, or they are gang related, where they fight for territories to own the shops and to take over some of the shops, like your cell phone shops, cigarette and spaza shops. They kidnap one another, but they use the big syndicates. That's why now in most of the recent crime stats, you see a number of droppings in the what you call the cash in transit, because they use the very same syndicates with the very same, some of them who are well trained from the armies from their countries with high calibers of weapon to go and collect the victims on their behalf. Then they negotiate on how the ransom now in exchanging of the shops should happen. But most definitely all of them, they are inside jobs.
So if we look back to 2021, when the 4 boys, the Moti brothers, were arrested in Polokwane, they were kidnapped very dramatically on their way to school, and they were kept for weeks before they were finally released and found and released. Would you say that could fall into the same category? I mean, what I'm hearing you saying is that there's different types of kidnapping for financial gain. Some might be for territory, some might be for money. So where would you put the Moti brothers in terms of understanding the different motives for kidnappings?
Yes, there are different types of operations from this particular syndicate. But with the Moti brothers, it was all about money. And that's why there was large amount of money that was demanded, and it was supposed to be paid in cryptocurrency. But what happened to the case, all of us, we don't know. But unfortunately, they say ransom was paid, and unfortunately, they moved back to Dubai now, or they relocated to Dubai. But most of them, or where they demand high ransom of money, is paid through Forex transactions.
We have, of course, seen South Africans kidnapped as well, though. So, Calvin, just explain how you understand when South Africans are kidnapped.
Yeah. Most of as the South Africans, where they are kidnapped, I mean, in the category, it all falls under Schedule 6. You get guys that are hijacking vehicles this nowadays, but what they will normally do, they will hijack a vehicle and keep someone under their duress. whereby now they'll be looking, stripping off the car to look for a device, for a tracking device. And whilst they are doing that, some of them will be taking maybe your bank card and go to the nearest ATM and ask for your PIN. So those type of categories also, they fall under the Schedule 6, which is kidnapping in this scenario.
Oh, yeah. So that's sort of a kidnapping, a temporary holding of a person to get to their money. I suppose slightly different, but I understand why it falls under kidnapping. Talk to me about the inside job factor. When you say an inside job, you've mentioned one category that it might be people who know each other's businesses quite well. What sort of inside information are potential kidnappers looking at?
Yeah, they're looking at the financial capability, and whilst they do that, normally they syndicate how they operate, because it's an inside job. They will even go as far as monitoring if there's when ransom has to be paid, that how far are the police with investigation, and they also monitor that the ransom is paid. So they will sympathize with the family, or some of them, they are even family. So in many incidents whereby now they will be monitoring that, okay, fine, Mr. So-and-so is capable of paying, and they've involved the police, but they will monitor that the money is paid, they will monitor that indeed the ransom is paid, and that's how they operate this particular syndicate.
It's very interesting indeed, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what the police do in their investigations following these kidnappings. Thank you so much. Security expert at Biz Traces, Calvin Rafadi, talking about what he says is a mushrooming trend in kidnappings, where foreign nationals, sometimes competing for territory or shop space or in business, are sometimes involved in kidnapping each other. That's a very interesting story. I think there's plenty more to understand about that one.